Hi, I'm Joshua Finn from J&H Aerospace. This is the build video for the Sweepette Foamie. This is a Dollar Tree foam board, hand-launched glider. Hand launch it, or you can actually use the little catapult hook and catapult launch it. Very quick building airplane, and we're going to show you how to build it. So to get started, let's first of all look at what's in your kit. Very simple kit, not many parts. You'll have 2 fuselage cores. You will have 2 more of these fuselage nose sections. You will have 4 bamboo skewers, a horizontal tail, a vertical tail. This is a dihedral gauge, and then you'll have your main wing assembly. To get started with building this airplane, there are a couple things you'll want to do. First of all, get some parchment paper out so you don't get glue all over your table or other surfaces. I'm going to start with the wing here, and instead of starting with gluing the airplane, I'm going to start with prepping these flying surfaces. Now you can skip this step if you don't have a covering iron, but I recommend it because it improves the durability of the airplane and it also improves the aerodynamics drastically. So we're taking a model airplane covering iron, and all we're doing is starting to close up the edges on this wing. You'll notice there's a little bit of an inflection point right here, just inboard of this dihedral brake. Do not do any working on that area, but outboard of that, we can simply bring this iron in here, and we can use the heat to round off all of these edges. And again, this looks like a kind of a tedious step or something that you'd like to skip, but it tremendously improves the flight characteristics of this airplane. When I say that, I mean it will increase your flight times by better than 50% in many cases. And the harder you're able to throw or launch this airplane, the more of an effect this has. We're not really, on the front of this wing, we're not really trying for a special airfoil or anything like that. We're just trying to round everything off. We'll get a little bit more creative at the back, not a whole lot, so just enough to have a little bit of airfoil in there. Now we're going to come over to this side, we're going to do the same thing. May be able to hear a little bit of almost a crackling sound there as the foam is bubbling up a little. What we're actually doing is we are hardening up this foam quite considerably. It makes a nice difference. Now on the back of the wing, what I recommend is to do is go around here and try to actually bevel this. And that sound is not me crushing anything, it is the, again, it's the foam actually bubbling in there under the heat. We'll do the same thing over here. Now we'll just kind of wrap the bottom of the trailing edge up just a little bit here. And that's just to melt it in as well so it doesn't peel away either. And there we go. Now we will move on to the vertical tail and do the same type of thing. Just trying to round it all the way around here. And we're not going to try to taper the trailing edge or anything like we did on the wing. All we want to do is just round it all off. Also want to do this on the horizontal stab. Same arrangement, we're just going for a symmetrical, rounded off airfoil here. Nothing fancy. Not that we actually tried to get very fancy on the wing, but just keeping it real simple here. And now almost done here. And there we have our completed horizontal tail. Now that we have finished with the ironing all of the surfaces, let's go ahead and we'll get started with prepping this wing to actually do the complete build out on it. So mark where you started forming in here on this skewer. And roll it back and forth under a razor blade. Break it off. You'll want 2 pieces like this, actually. Good enough here on this one that we can use it. So at this point, you just use a very thin bead of glue. Just going to squirt only into the foam, no other part here. So we're not really squirting out a whole lot. And drop this guy in. And you'll have some glue that tends to want to pop out. So write that on your parchment paper to try to get rid of it. Mine's going everywhere, so actually I have to wait for it to cool a bit and then take a razor blade to it. Now I've got hot glue stuck on me. I hate getting hot glue stuck on me. So you have just seen the worst case scenario on that of how bad of a mess I can make of this. And now, good grief, I've got it caught all over my fingernails and stuff. Here we go. And so we'll drop the second skewer segment in here. Now, you will probably find that you have a little bit of excess skewer sticking out here, and you can cut that away with a razor blade if you're willing to be a little patient with it. Sometimes you'll have a lot extra like that, and my glue's not all the way hardened. There we go. So we've got that fared in, and now you can take a piece of packing tape and use that to wrap this leading edge. Leave a little bit of a gap here at this dihedral break though. And actually I'm going to go fairly far out from that. That way my tape is completely clear of the actual fuselage. And so right here it's not, because I want to have a plenty strong gluing surface when I put this on the fuselage. I'll just take that excess piece and I'm going to use it to cover up that last bit out here. And there we go. Repeat that on the other side here. And there we go. So our next task is to set the dihedral on this wing. So grab this wing here at the center section and kind of flex it up a little bit like that. Now have your dihedral gauge handy. Pop this wing back apart a little bit and squirt some hot glue down inside there. Crank that back up and use that guide to set the dihedral. Get this kind of, there we go. Our wing center section dihedral joint has hardened, so we're going to come out here to right wing tip. We'll bend it up a little bit. And we'll just kind of crack it apart here and fill that up with glue. Probably don't use as much glue as I just used. and we'll come back when that. Now for the final dihedral brake. So start cranking that up. The excess does form a nice little skin, so it's quite useful for getting nice strong dihedral joints. And there you go. Alright, so we'll set the wing aside for the moment. And let's bring in our fuselage. So take these skewers and we're going to cut them to length, like so. And you want to kind of get these to lay flat a little bit because they're going to try to wander around as you do this. Try to squeeze them back together a little bit, not too much, because you don't want to get any deformation of that complement. And there we go. Alright, so this one is fairly straight, not too much twisting or anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and apply glue on this side. Try to use enough glue to get a good join here, but don't go overkill with it in the aft section. Up front's not as big of a deal, but back at the tail, you're just adding tail weight. It's very important to make sure that the fuselage lays flat here and doesn't flex this way either. Since we're done with dihedral brace, you can actually start to use it to take out some of the excess. Now one thing you do want to kind of do, and this is an area where you are adding weight at the back, is to go in here and try to pull this in a little bit. And then flip it back over onto your parchment paper. And that way basically you're sealing the side of the fuselage shut. Fuselage is cooled a little bit. We flipped it over. Got decent filling here, so we're going to go back over on this side. We're going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to try to. And now just weight this down while it cools. Okay, so fuselage is decently cooled down now, somewhat at least. So it's fairly straight, as you can see. So when I lay this back down on this side, it's still a little warm. Fuselage still has some flex to it, indicating that it's not completely cooled down inside there. What we're going to do now is we're going to add these fuselage side panels, and if you notice, they don't have the cutout here, or this center post area. So what I'm going to do, apply glue to this guy. We're just going to carefully line it up. There we go. We'll flip it over. And apply glue to this side. Perfect. There we go. If you notice, the CG for this thing at this point is pretty far aft, so I need to add a fair amount of lead up front, or whatever your preferred ballast weight is. So at this point, we can go ahead and do a test fit to make sure the wing fits in here. Not quite, because the Dihedral has pinched things in a little, so pinch these posts like so. Now the wing, let's get it right. The wing should fit fairly well now. I've got some glue that slipped in here that's making my wing a little resistant, but not too bad. So now come in here and just glue up your wing mounting area, like so. And try to get it aligned correctly. Get rid of any excess you've got along here. And we'll have to wait for a few minutes for it to cool. Okay, next let's come in with the horizontal stab, and we'll just do a test fit here to make sure everything fits okay. It does. Remember not to squish down here too much, because the fuselage is not flat underneath. So put some glue there, and in the keying areas. And if there's any question on alignment, this side of the stab, the left side, assuming you're right-handed, should be a little higher than the right side. Next, we'll just do a quick test fit here. Yep, we're good. And in goes our rudder. And there we go. Okay, so we have finished the construction of this airplane. Now all we have to do is balance it for flight. So you have these little CG marks here, and if I put my fingers underneath, I'm balancing behind the wing a little bit. So I'm going to take some lead sheeting here. You can use clay, BBs, whatever you want to use to get the CG about right. We'll try with this amount first. The first one of these we built at least didn't take a huge amount of nose weight. And that puts the CG actually a little bit far forward. So we're balancing right here, which is just ahead of those marks. So I can remove some more lead off of here. Let me also see if I can get this to fold up a little smaller. And there we go. And we'll check the CG. And with that, it's balancing right on here. So you can see from here, just like that. Now, we are going to add some more weight technically to the nose, as we still have not installed our catapult hook. And again, that's if you choose to use the catapult. You don't have to. Take two of these little scrap pieces and cut them to about this length, and I'll actually show you how you really want to measure that. You want to be able to stick these in here and have about that much sticking out. So, squirt glue in here. Stick one of these guys in one half of the slot. Run glue on it, on the inside, so that you can then put the other one on here. And as you can see, the glue holding my lead in has kind of decided to take a vacation here. I don't know why. I thought that had hardened by now. Anyway, down here, fill the glue around a little bit. You do want a fairly substantial bond for that catapult hook, like that. Now you can wrap the nose in tape if you want to. Definitely improves its durability a little bit. Another approach you could take is actually to try to iron this around a little bit, just to round it off some, and that also improves the impact resistance of this area. This concludes the build video for the Sweepette Foamie from J&H Aerospace. As you have seen, we have gotten the airplane built and balanced. We've not shown any flight footage here. There's a link in the description to see flight footage of the prototype for this airplane. And there are also going to be links to trimming videos for hand-launched and catapult-launched gliders in general that should help you get this airplane trimmed to do more than just a chuck that glides across the yard, which is not what we're after. We actually want to be able to put a finger back here and chuck this airplane about 50 feet up and get it to transition into a nice glide, which this airplane is fully capable of doing. So, questions, comments, please put them in the comments section below. If you want to buy kits for this airplane, check them out on our website. If you want to build from plans, also check down below for the link for the plans for this airplane. Hi, I'm Josh Finn. This is Hope. We are J&H Aerospace.
If you like this video, hit the like button.
Also, how about subscribe to our channel and check out jhaerospace.com for new free flight products and all of the tooling that you'll need to build them.
Thanks for watching.